What's going on, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Apologies for the late video. Needed a few hours to digest that one, as the New York Jets have now lost 8 out of 9, clinching their 9th straight losing season, 14th straight season without making the playoffs, although I don't think that's official yet, but it will be. And you've had 5 games now where Aaron Rodgers, fourth quarter, ball in his hands, game on the line, chance to go in for a touchdown, get the Jets a victory, and the New York Jets are 0-5 in those games. I've been Aaron Rodgers' biggest supporter, biggest defender during all this shit this season. I questioned a little bit of the body language at times, and then I kind of tried to write it off as just him being injured and frustrated with the state of things right now. But ultimately, as Tyson and many people have been saying, he was brought in here to be the leader to ultimately change all of this. And it's just been way too much for him to possibly take on, at least at 40 years old. I still think his intentions are good. I still think it's not reflective of what he's been his entire career. But Father Time catches up with everybody, and clearly at 40 years old, coming off the ACL tear, being nicked up early in the year, it's just way too much for him to battle through. He doesn't have it anymore. It's sad to admit, but I think it's just facts. I thought today he was actually pretty healthy. I mean, you saw him moving around the pocket for 8 to 10 seconds on a couple plays early in the game. You saw him leading the way on a block for Corley. Some of those things that you didn't see early in the year, just the way that he was moving, having some fun out there. I'm like, even if it doesn't result in playoffs, and I know some people would probably think this is stupid because it's going to cost you draft position, and maybe that's going to cost you a GM or a head coach. But in the back of my mind, I still kind of went into this game today hoping that maybe the offense gets hot, you rattle off 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6, end the year with some positive feelings that maybe you are a head coach away. Maybe this roster isn't one of the bottom 5 in the league. Maybe a complete rebuild isn't necessary. Maybe the right head coach can come in here and get more out of this team like Bill Parcells did with the Kotite teams. And more you're just realizing that top to bottom, this organization is just a complete mess. It's a losing culture. It's a losing environment. Too many bad habits have been allowed to develop for a lot of these guys. And you see a team that's soft. They can't handle adversity. It's been displayed almost every game this year that once something goes wrong, once the team faces just the slightest bit of adversity, they don't have an answer. And today, unfortunately, with all the breaks that they got early in the game, you got 2 fumble recoveries, you had the kick return for a touchdown. Offense was actually doing well with the scripted plays. You're up 21-7, knocking on the door for another touchdown. Garrett Wilson wide open in the end zone. Aaron Rodgers overthrows him. Very next play, and I didn't even realize this until I saw the replay, Tyler Conklin wide open at the top of the screen. Rodgers doesn't see him, tries to force it into Garrett Wilson, and you get a Leonard Williams pick 6 going the other way. And after that, the game was completely over. The offense didn't do a damn thing after that. I think they had like 2 penalties going into the half, and then they had like 8 or 9 of them in the second half. Just some ridiculous calls, 2 on 4th down that extended drives. Actually, they might have had 3 on 4th down. Just a completely undisciplined team. I'm tired of hearing about the deep dives and the tackling clinics and all the other bullshit that they're trying to do. The season essentially was lost in week 4 and week 5. I think if they would have beat Denver, you go to 3-1. You got good vibes in that building, a little bit of momentum on a 3-game winning streak. Zerline misses the kick. You lose the next week in London, and then the season was completely shot after that. You fire your head coach. You unravel the locker room. This thing's a complete fucking mess. So whatever you guys want to do at this point, you do it. I mean, I'm ultimately letting the new GM and head coach make the decision on the quarterback. And I still say, like what I said in the stream, that the player exit interviews, I think, are going to be very telling and probably should have some significant weight as far as what you're going to do for next year, as far as what pieces, maybe are worth bringing back, and then figuring out where the problems are as well. Because ultimately, you do have guys in that locker room that I think you do trust, guys like Mosley, guys like Morgan Moses, that are proven veteran leaders, that have also been a part of winning organizations, that know what a winning culture looks like, having played in Baltimore. So, I would trust those guys, as far as their exit interviews and what they have to say, as far as what the problems have been this season and who the issues are really with. Is it a coaching issue? Is it really just ownership that just completely killed the vibes this year and just demoralized everybody? Is it the quarterback? Is he just not on the same page with everybody else? Or are they not buying into, what Rodgers is? Like, whatever it is, you got to figure out what the problems are and then go from there. But unlike a lot of other people, I'm just not excited about starting up another rebuild when we've done this with Bowles, we've done this with Saleh, because ultimately those first 2 years, are going to be completely written off. You can win 4 games, 5 games. Doesn't matter how bad the team looks. it's going to be defended because those guys don't have their players in place. They're trading pieces off. They're getting draft picks. They're trying to build their culture. So as you're losing games, you're ultimately excusing everything, and you're essentially going to sign up for wasting another 2 seasons, hoping that your first-time GM, in all likelihood, a first-time GM, and whoever your head coach is going to be, are going to get it right, and then also draft the right quarterback, develop him the right way, not rush him and play him too soon in this crazy environment that we have right now. It's just, I can't get excited right now about a rebuild and everything else. So that's where my head was today. It's not to be a Rodgers defender, because I know he's played like shit today, or really this entire season, but more than anything else, it was just, I can't get excited about a new rookie quarterback or a bridge quarterback next year, or any kind of complete teardown, because I do think there's talent on this roster. I think we definitely overrated some talent. I definitely think Joe Douglas took the defensive line completely backwards. There's a lot of issues with this team, but I'll still say that the same way Parcells got a lot more out of that '97 team, I think a proven, established head coach could do the same with this roster. The problem is, I don't think that guy is going to come here. I think there are definitely going to be trust issues. Just knowing Woody Johnson's history of meddling and overstepping, what prominent, proven, or up-and-coming GM head coaching candidate is going to put their trust in Woody Johnson and put their reputation on the line for him. I just unfortunately don't see that happening. The environment here is so friggin' bad. I feel like, unfortunately, there's a lot of dark years that are still ahead, and that this is coming off 9 straight losing seasons, 14 years not making the playoffs. It still doesn't feel like we're nearing the end, which is very sad. Coming into this year where the expectations were through the roof, and it wasn't just from fans. It was from analysts. You had Jets in the Super Bowl predictions from a lot of people, and the fact that we're sitting here at 3-9, it's unbelievable. It really is. So this is what it is. I'm not excited about the rebuild. I'm not excited about anything going forward. I don't even know. They've just completely broken me. I feel bad for the fans that went out there today. All the Seahawk fans taking over. This is arguably the worst season in the history of the New York Jets when you factor in expectations. Obviously, you have the Kotite years, you have the Gase years. Those were miserable. But when you factor in the expectations, and again, it wasn't just from fans. It was almost unanimous with analysts around the league looking at this roster saying, how could they possibly lose? And the fact that our season is done in November. I know it's December 1st, but it was done in November. Losing 8 of 9. And again, it's why I didn't want to pile. I'll try to end on this. It's why I didn't want to pile on Rodgers today and really the last few weeks, just because of the fact that you've now lost 2 games to Geno Smith, who looks like he could be headed to the playoffs, and Sam Darnold, who also looks like he could be headed to the playoffs as well. So the fact that you constantly have guys that come here and fail, then go elsewhere and succeed, and now in Rodgers' case, Hall of Fame career, then he comes here and he fails. It's like, at some point, you got to look around and say, maybe the problem isn't all these quarterbacks and everybody else that we're bringing in. Maybe the problem is much greater as far as ownership, as well as just bad coaching and just an overall losing environment that nobody seems to change. There's no accountability. There's just nothing. So I've tried to defend Rodgers, but again, like I said, Father Time catches up with everybody. I still think his intentions are good. I still think, some of the leadership stuff's maybe a little bit overblown. We all scream for accountability, yet when a guy's actually trying to hold players accountable, we call him selfish and we say he's pointing the finger. So, it is what it is. I feel bad for the fans that have invested so much. This is my last year as a season ticket holder. They've completely broken me in that regard. I hope more people cancel because, again, you're not getting your money's worth. You could have got tickets today for pennies on the dollar like every other year. Once you get to November and December, it's a complete waste of money. It's a complete waste of time. It is so frustrating that we're sitting here again talking about another rebuild in early December with a roster that I'll still say I think is talented, but for whatever reason, this coaching staff and what's left of this coaching staff that started the year just can't get anything out of it. So whatever your plan is, let's go for it. I'm broken at this point. I'll talk to you guys later.